All right, so we have Liberty or Death today. This is going to be talking about really the start of the war and what the mentality was with the colonists at this time. Because we've been focusing quite a bit on Massachusetts, like John Adams, Sam Adams, John Hancock. Um, these are all firebrand people in the North in Massachusetts. But Virginia also had people that were speaking out for revolution, such as Patrick Henry. And this is somebody that apparently we know very well from fourth grade. We learned his speech, and not only was there Patrick Henry, but there were other people that we're going to be talking about. Benjamin Franklin comes to mind, Pennsylvania, and so on and so forth. So there were people all up and down the colonies. Here is a portion of Patrick Henry's speech. Obviously, I have figured out how to use Zoom, apparently. I'm sorry it took this long, but hopefully you can see this a little bit better now, and you can pause anytime that you want to read something. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better on your tablet or phone, if not your computer. Um, but we're really looking here at 1774, where we have the first Continental Congress. Okay, so we're up to 1774 now. And this is going to be in the test, so I want you to remember this, that every colony sent delegates to the Continental Congress except Georgia. Now, this isn't because Georgia didn't believe in the revolution. It's just that they were under attack from Indians, and they needed the help of British troops. And it's not a good idea to step on the toes of the people that are helping you at that moment. So Georgia um, very wisely at this moment decides not to send anybody to Philadelphia and really get Britain mad. And then they pull the troops out, and then the Indians start blowing up their settlements. So Georgia was not there. So they had 12 colonies, not 13, uh, in Philadelphia. This is the first time ever that the colonies have ever gotten together. The colonies looked at themselves as separate countries. And they said, I want to go home to my home country, they would say my home country of Virginia or New Jersey or New York or Massachusetts. They wouldn't say America. That's a concept that does not exist in 1774. So the first time they're getting together more as a group of nations, a group of different colonies that have more in common with Great Britain than they do with each other. And this is a very important part of our history here for that fact. And so they decided, you know what? Parliament is the one that's really the problem here. They're the ones making the laws, the taxes, and the king hasn't. The king can help us. If we just talk to the king, we get a message to the king and say, can you intercede on our behalf? We are loyal subjects. We want to be part of the British Empire, but Parliament is messing things up. Please step in and save your loyal subjects here. And so, messages, there's no Twitter, there's no Instagram or Facebook back then, no email. So they decide we're going to send a message, and this message is going to go on a ship, and the ship's going to go across the ocean, and it's going to be a couple months before the king even sees this message, and then he's going to come up with a reply and send it back on another ship. And so it's going to take a long time for that message to get there and the message to get back. So they said, okay, we'll meet again later on next year, and in case things go badly again, just in case. But we think the king will help us out. Well, King George does not grant them their wish, and things are worse. Um, the text here says American men had died in Massachusetts at the hand of British soldiers. What they're not telling you is we're going to look at down here with Lexington and Concord, and this has to do with Paul Revere's Midnight Ride. Now, it is common belief that he runs through the towns saying the British are coming, the British are coming. It's very popular. Not true. He wouldn't say that. They're all British. He's British. They're all part of the British Empire. So he actually said the redcoats are coming. The redcoats are coming. That's what they called the British soldiers because they wore the red jackets. So and it wasn't another common belief is that it's just him running through the countryside. When in fact, if we look at our workbook here, we'll see that it's actually Paul Revere, William Dawes, and Dr. Samuel that ride out, and you can see their trails here of where they actually went. Um, and you can see Paul Revere runs all the way out here, and then Dr. Samuel goes the rest of the way. And William Dawes starts down here in the city of Boston and takes the southern route. And all the way they're telling people that the redcoats are coming. And, the whole reason behind the redcoats coming is because they wanted to stop anybody from fighting them. So they were going to go to a place where they thought they were storing weapons. Uh, so they head off towards Concord in order to seize all these weapons and this ammunition. And militiamen are being called up by Paul Revere and his two friends. And they start showing up and they get together on a place called Lexington. Okay? So we've got April 19th, 1775, right here. Um, Lexington Green, there's a small group of American militiamen, and these are local citizens who serve in an army in emergencies, such as this. This is something that they didn't expect. They just pick up their guns and run out of the house and then go off to fight somebody. And so they're standing there, and a shot goes off. And then everybody starts shooting, and the Americans run away, and the British take the field and win that little battle. But nobody really knows. We've got, firsthand accounts here. Here's a militiaman saying that the British said, disperse, and then fired his pistol, and they started shooting at. So he blames the leader of the British forces, and then the British leader of the British forces here says, we came towards them without intention of injuring them. We wanted to see what they're doing. You know, if they're not there for good reasons, we're supposed to take away their weapons. And then he says one of the Americans, as they were leaving, fired. And then a couple more people jumped over a wall and fired behind it. And then we started returning fire. And then the American commander said, don't fire unless fired upon. But if they want war, let it begin here. So to this day, we have no idea who shot that or who fired the shot heard around the world, whether it was an American or British. There's no evidence either way. Um, it could have been just by accident. Some guy walking off, he trips, and boom, his gun goes off, and next thing we saw this happen in the Boston Massacre, where somebody shot their weapon because they got injured, and they didn't mean to shoot, and then all of a sudden, everything, once the gun goes off, these guys are all nervous, they're got their fingers on the trigger, and then they start shooting, and this is how these things happen. Well, the British go off to Concord, and they don't find, all the weapons are gone. And so at the North Bridge, finally they got enough American soldiers to turn them back, and they would harass the British, and they chased them all the way back to Britain. I mean, not Britain. I'm sorry, to Boston. And so this was Lexington and Concord. This is what will mark the beginning of the war, and this is what they're referencing here too, where in 1775, when they meet for the second time in Continental Congress, things are worse. The Lexington and Concord has taken place. The British king does not want to help them out, and so now what are they going to do? They had to do more than just ask the British to change their laws. The time had come to create their own government and their own laws. They knew that they had to just go off and do things on their own, that they weren't going to get help from anybody. All right, so thanks for watching. Sorry it took me so long to get this um, blown up so that you can read it a little bit better. And I'm doing a couple changes here on this channel to try to make things a little bit better, a little bit easier for you to keep up with my class. Thanks for watching.